Hello, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand. It's the Flex and Goldbridge Premier League show. We're not in the studio today because we had to do the Europa League draw. So it's green screen and whatever screen for Flex. How you doing, mate? Big week. Manchester United win again. Lots to talk about. VAR, Mourinho's comments, the London derby, the relegation battle, the race for top four, and anything but Liverpool, really, because they're boring.
Exactly. And the Tottenham documentary.
Yeah. I mean, that's, Amazon must be kicking themselves trying to break into the footballing market, and you get Mr. Gray in there. I mean, yeah, he used to be box office Mourinho, didn't he? I mean, let's just start off with Mourinho before we talk about United. And I believe United are the best team in Europe at the moment. But he was asked about the amount of goals United are scoring at the moment, and he said something along the lines of 13 penalties help in relation to that. I was looking at some stats, and I think we've had 501 shots and they've had 407. So I think, with Mourinho, again, he lets his bitterness get in the way of facts. I mean, if you're a Spurs fan, I'd be very worried.
Look, I've said it many a time, said it to expressions and a lot of other Tottenham guys I know. When you need the post-traumatic Jose booklet, encyclopedia, whatever, manual, handbook, whatever you want to call it, when you need it because it's gone dire, then just ask me and I'll send it. We've been there before as Man United fans. We know what Mourinho does. And do you know what I love most about the situation with Mourinho is that I've gone back to enjoying Mourinho because he's not my manager. Like he's not as box office as he used to be with the comments, but he's still going to give you entertainment and say outlandish shit. Like he just will. He's Mourinho. Still going to be arrogant. Still not going to refuse to take responsibility. Still going to blame others and still shut down reporters and stuff. But when it's your team that's happening to, playing dead football, throwing players under the bus and booting this person out, and this person is training by themselves, it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. It's stuck in a rut. It's nothing to look forward to, and it's just refreshing. I'm sorry, Tottenham fans watching this, but told you so. Told you so. Really,
they won't be watching. They're too bloody depressed.
Yeah,
it's a horrible feeling, though, isn't it? Because we were there with Mourinho, and I do want to talk about United, but it is the Premier League show. Mourinho was our manager. I did say he was finished when he went from United, and when he went to Spurs, there was not one part of me that thought, "Oh, he's going to prove us wrong." I just thought he is finished. And the horrible thing for Spurs is, I actually prefer Spurs to Arsenal. I always have. I mean, I don't massively support Spurs, but I've always preferred Spurs to Arsenal. I don't know why. They may as well. It's like being on pause. It's like waiting at the traffic lights and it's stuck on red. Until you get rid of him, you're stuck. But it's a bit like United. There was times when I was like, this is not going to happen tomorrow. It might not happen for another year, even if we're lucky. Spurs are just, I'm afraid Spurs are on pause until they get rid of Jose. And I don't think it'll be a while before he goes. No,
it won't. It won't. They're at the start of their ordeal, to be fair, the start of their roller coaster. And look, there is a little bit of it that's like Jose needs a transfer window to sort that defense out, because it's crap. Let's face it. Aurier's rubbish. Ben Davies is rubbish. Vertonghen's past it. Davinson is a calamity, but could probably work with someone else. Toby's getting old. So their whole back four needs a whole revamp. Do you know what I mean? So I see that. I do see that. Their midfield needs major work. It's just average. Winks and Sissoko, just average. Just run around a bit. Can't really do much. And at the top end of the pitch, you could argue that they've got some very good players. You've got Son there. You've got Bergwijn. He came in, done all right. Harry Kane's Harry Kane. Lo Celso's all right, but he's just not level. So yeah, there's a little bit that Mourinho needs that, but with how there you go, Mason.
Made me laugh. It did make me laugh, and maybe it's the real Mason Greenwood as well. But look, we will actually come back to Spurs because we want to start with United. We are a United fan channel, and it is the North London derby, so we can talk a bit more about Spurs. But look, the title of the show is United's best in Europe, and the reason we started on Jose is because he basically was asked about United scoring goals and said 13 penalties help because he's bitter. But as I said, we've had 501 shots on goal. He's had 407. And what's impressive about that is half of the season we were part of the bus. So we've still had 100 more shots than them. And we played without Bruno for up until January. Title of the show is best team in Europe at the moment, United. Would you go that far? Do you think that's the case? No, I'm not talking about best team in Europe. We are the best team in Europe, because you will get Liverpool fans going mad. Yeah. But best team on form in Europe at the moment, I don't think there is any equal. I don't. Name me a team.
on form in the last 4 or 5 games. You can't argue with the numbers. The numbers don't lie. Bruno racking up accolade after accolade, month after month. It's not by accident. It's not fake, is it?
2 Premier League Player of the Months in a row. Nobody's done that since Ronaldo in 2006.
Well, there you go. It just goes back to the impact that he's having. The fact that we can have these conversations to say that form-wise, in context, form-wise, we are second to none at the moment because, you know, I don't see people winning as consistently as this. I don't see people scoring goals as consistently as us and winning games as consistently as us. So we are doing big, big, big things.
One of the fan cameras said it last night. You'll remember who it was, but they said that, you know, teams fear us now. I wouldn't go that far myself. I do think we're the best team in Europe on form. I still think there'll be an element of denial, and also there'll be an element of hope that this is just a blip for United, because it could be a blip. You know, we could lose a game and not get top 4 and be being laughed at because we're back in the Europa League next year. You know, it is on a knife edge, and it's on a knife edge because of the bad performances at the start of the season. We've got to keep winning. But I think if we do get the wins over the next 4 games and we do get top 4 and we do get Jadon Sancho, I think these are the things that our rivals are hoping is going to go wrong. They're going to hope that Bruno's a flash in a pan, and that's not the case. He's amazing, but they'll hope we won't get top 4, and they'll hope that we won't get Sancho, and then I think we will become a threat. Because it's the same with me with Liverpool. I could see Liverpool coming, but I was always like, nah, it will all go wrong. So it is encouraging that teams are starting to sort of take a pop at us and things like that, because it shows that they are starting to fear us
massively. Look, they're getting jealous. They're getting jealous because even the Mason Greenwood thing, when I tweeted, I said it in capitals. I was, when you're trying to tweet really quickly because you're so excited, it's just loads of typos everywhere, but people get what you mean. I just said, Mason Greenwood, you're the best in the world. I don't care, And, Arsenal fans, yeah, but Saka's this. And I'm just like, I even voice noted my cousin straight away. I was like, listen, man, Saka's good. He's very good. But I'm sorry, Martinelli and all the... And you don't even want to make it about that. But Mason Greenwood is just so good that he's just becoming on this pedestal. We still got to be patient. He's still a young kid. He's going to go for a dip of form at some point, and hopefully it's not this season, but he will, and he'll go for a patch, and then everyone will, he's not scored for 4 games. He's rubbish. That's what football social media is. It's very emotional. It's very reactionary, but it's so encouraging. And it's so encouraging that other fans are talking about us. I had to sit Saeed down a little bit. He's saying that Maguire.
Well, I don't know what he was on about with. I saw. Obviously, I do my show, and then I help sort of, do the wording for the description in the fan cams, but Josh does the thumbnails, and I saw this Van Dijk thing, and I was just like, he does himself no favors. I mean, he does call Harry Beckenbauer, doesn't he? So he does really rate Maguire. I can't knock him for that,
He loves it.
I did think, I give Harry Maguire a 6, and he's saying he's the best. I've just seen none of this better than Van Dijk. I do love Harry Maguire, and I think, look, he could be that sort of centre back. But I was like, what did Harry Maguire do last night to be better than Van Dijk? But everyone loves everyone.
No, he's not even just saying just off last night. He's saying just in general. But I was like, he rated Lindelof, and we just gave him flat 7s, which could have been flat 6s. Really, they just done their job. They're not really. But like, he was like, yeah, Lindelof. Well, I give him 7, but little bit lackadaisical sometimes. Then he went.
What did he give Shaw?
He gave him a 7.
Oh, I bet that was big.
I did say, because basically he was like, Lindelof was all right and that, but I give him a 7. Listen, Harry Beckenbauer, commanding performance. He gets a 7. I'm like, it's still a 7. But what? Why is your voice changing and going up a tone just because? And I started talking about the agendas, and it's so funny how we have I say we have our favorite. Some people have their absolute favorites and just can't. Then when he gave Luke Shaw the 7, he was like, yeah, Luke Shaw, did all right.
7 can mean 2 sort of flexes, can't it? It's funny though, because he's probably got on his wall, that picture that everyone uses of Harry Maguire is leaning over to talking to them 2 girls. He's probably photoshopped his head on one of the girls, and he's there like that. But look, there was a good point there from Chris K. I do want to, and look, do get in the comments. We will try and pick it up because it is a Premier League show as well, so we do talk about the general stuff. But you guys need to chill. Beating teams that are fighting for relegation is easy. I really come at that and say, look, that's dangerous to say that, because one, United don't. All these teams, we drew with Villa, we lost to Bournemouth. Did we lose to Brighton as well? We drew with Sheffield United. So the last 4 wins that we've had are against teams that we didn't beat at the start of the season. So for us United fans, we've got every right to celebrate it. And then as for Liverpool, well, look, Liverpool can say that to us because they went on an amazing run. Name me another team that beats teams like we have in the last 4 games this season. City haven't done it. The only team to do it is Liverpool. So look, if we're in Liverpool's shadow at the moment, well, we know that, but we're right behind them as the form team in the league at the moment. So I don't think it should be, oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know who you support, Chris, but you cannot be any other fan other than a Liverpool fan. Because if you're saying that as a Chelsea fan or an Arsenal fan, I'm going to tell you how many games you've lost for Chelsea, 10. I'm going to tell you where you are in the league for Arsenal or Spurs. So you can't diminish what Manchester United have done. It's good. And, you know, I just want it to continue.
Yeah, I think it's hard as fans because we want to believe the hype. We want to believe the gas. And I think the gas is real. You know, we're seeing a turnaround and we're seeing us play well. But I think that the longer it happens where we haven't achieved something, I think Pogba said it best to Jeff Shreves, you know, Paul, you know, great goals and all this. Goes, yeah, but we didn't win the Premier League. We haven't won anything yet. Like, we've got to keep going. This could mean absolutely nothing if we have a little blip and finish 5th. So it's, you know, and that isn't just to do with now. It wouldn't erase all the progress, but that would be more dependent on, like you said, the start of the season. But you can see the signs, and I think it will just have the cherry on the top if we can come out of it with a top 4/top 3 and a Europa League and hopefully the FA Cup, you know.
Yeah, it's looking good for Manchester United at the moment. And look, in relation to Ethan Laird, Joel, it's a Premier League show, but look, hopefully, we were talking about that at lunchtime, weren't we? That, you know, maybe Deleu's future is elsewhere and Laird could come through. Look, let's talk about VAR. This is the big topic for the Premier League show today, and I think it's going to be every week. Shocking to me this morning that the Premier League basically came out and said that 3 or 4 penalty decisions that were given or not given last night were wrong. Spurs should have had a penalty, I think. Obviously, they're saying that Bruno shouldn't have been a penalty. I mean, we've discussed that. I still think it's a penalty. Ollie thought it was a penalty. But the law is apparently that it shouldn't be, even though they gave it. Also, Arsenal, what did you think about the Nketiah? They've appealed that red card. I mean, for me, that was not intentional, but it was a red card. It's reckless. Those sort of decisions, yeah.
Burnley should have been a red card, same thing. Yeah,
it's so funny how Arsenal fans wanted to send Maupay to prison for jumping for a header. Nketiah had no, you know, that should not be a yellow card. I mean, they banter themselves within minutes. The hypocrisy is hilarious. But Vardy should have gone in that game. I didn't see it. I didn't even see them replay it. What did you think about the Vardy thing?
Yeah,
he's meant to do that, hasn't he?
I don't know if he meant it.
As somebody who's done it a few times, not in the face, as somebody who's left their foot in. Yeah, he has. It's like that one. What was the one? Was it Chelsea we were talking about last week, where Rudiger sort of kicks the ball away but leaves his foot up? If you play the game, you know there's things you can do with your legs to avoid hurting somebody.
When I first saw it, I thought no, and I still don't know if he meant it, but there's an argument for him to be sent off though anyway, because
well, it's the same as Nketiah, isn't it?
Like it's an accidental fly kick in the face, but he hasn't meant it. But I think the difference with that is that both players are falling. Like they're both kind of falling over, so it's a bit more difficult to prove. I think with Nketiah's one and Tarkowski's one, you can argue that they're trying to play the ball, but they've just got it really wrong and caught the player really high up. Whereas Vardy could argue in his defence that he's doing Kylie Minogue spinning around, doesn't really know, and his legs just gone ski whiff. But it does.
Is that not the same for Bruno last night, though?
No, it's not.
I think it is, but there you go.
Bruno didn't mean to stand on him. That's not a red card. Just saying it wasn't a penalty.
No, but what I'm saying is, I suppose I'm talking about red cards, I suppose, aren't I? Not penalties. But I'll keep trying. But yeah, I mean, look, in relation to VAR.
No, Bruno is your favourite and you've got the agenda. It's okay to say Bruno was smart and he won as a penalty by being cheeky. You can say that.
So I think the Bruno one's a difficult one, though, because it's not a dive.
It's not a dive. He's just been smart.
Yeah.
Can't be referee, though.
Well, I just think if you go to ground and miss the ball, then you leave yourself wide open. But I think the rules have changed. I think basically the rule now is it's not enough to go down, isn't it? I remember that from a couple of ones before. So maybe that's.
I don't think that defender actually tries to play the ball. I think he goes to, and Bruno anticipates a challenge that never comes and ends up standing on his foot. That's it.
He's got to be careful now because he'll have his cards marked for that. Definitely. But look, in relation to VAR. lots of decisions wrong. And this is becoming a recurring theme through the season. I don't know what everybody at home thinks, but for me, I've never been a fan of VAR. I don't like VAR, and I think about those decisions, right? Nketiah would not have been sent off. Okay, so Leicester would not have gone down. Arsenal would not have gone down to 10 men. The goal that Vardy scored that they took ages on would have been given. They wouldn't have ruled that out, which is the right thing. The penalty last night would have still been given, which VAR did. They still got that wrong. The Spurs penalty wouldn't have been given, wouldn't it? Because they didn't give it, and maybe it should have been. So effectively, all VAR is doing is giving us what we had before in a more frustrating way. You know, we're still getting error, which for me was a massive part of your Monday morning at work or at school or on the bus or at pub conversation, which is what I miss. But what you do get, and the thing I really miss, is when a goal goes in, you go 100%. Yeah, you go 100%. And at the moment, I've said it all season, unless it's something. But then again, even with Greenwood's last night, I was like, oh, what if somebody's done something 5 minutes ago? You know, what if somebody's pinched the ref's arse in the tunnel? He might turn it. You know, he might say it's not a goal. So that's the thing for me. I've always said that it's just taking away what we used to have. And look, you know, Lampard's thing in the World Cup against Germany that was miles over the line. It's a massive injustice that, you know, wouldn't happen now. But the VAR for me, I think they are going to stick with it. I don't know about you, but I've just got no time for it. I don't trust it and I don't like it.
Just on the Lampard one, that just would have been goal line technology. That's really easy just to watch. Would have just went off with that, not even VAR. Yeah. So I think goal line technology 100% has to stay. Although that cock up happened Sheffield United against Aston Villa, but I think the biggest thing I agree with you on there is going 100% when you score, especially being in the stadiums every game in, game out. It's a horrible experience. And to be fair, I have to say, as United fans, we've been on the right end of it quite a few times. Been in the stadium, seeing teams score, and I think it happened to Wolves against us at home earlier this season. Happened to Troy Deeney at home to us against us. But then I remember when the Neves one happened at Wolves, and we were waiting, thinking, oh, please, it might not be a goal. And then VAR gave it. So it's that feeling of scoring a goal is horrible and having to wait. I agree with that. But I just feel like the people that are using it are just press. I don't, because it's still coming down to a human person interpreting information. That's all. All VAR is doing, the system VAR, is replaying what happened to give you more time to see it and a different angle, which should help you come to the right conclusion. But because there's prats in St George's Park who haven't got a clue from their arse and their elbows and don't know what the rules actually are and are applying the rules inconsistency, it's actually making VAR a bad name. I don't see the MLS going crazy at VAR. I don't see Italy going crazy or Germany. It's always the Premier League, and it's because the first year we've had it. And it might sound rude, but they're just absolute tools in the vans. So I think the training and application needs to be looked at of how it's applied. Because if you apply it properly, it can be all right. It can be all right. It really can. But when it's being applied the way it is now, it's shit.
That's right from Gavin Crampton, actually. It didn't matter, but that was a stone waller on Pogba at the end. And that's emotion coming into it again when it should just be a penalty. Mason Greenwood reminds me of Bobby Charlton when he hits a shot with so much power back. We'll talk about, I think we spoke about VAR then. So Mason Greenwood then, because I think whether you're a United fan or not, maybe you are on the United stand, I would hope, but there might be people tuning in. I actually got a message last night just before my match reaction from one of the lads at Redmen TV, and he basically said, Mason Greenwood, what a player. Now, for a Liverpool fan to say that, that's pretty special. And I've had a few of those messages from people who are not United fans. It's great to have a player of that quality because they don't come around very often, do they? And, how good do you think he can be? I think it's a question I don't like to answer it, but it's... Yeah.
You don't like to do it.
He's what a player. I mean, he's just. Would you still get Sancho? I mean, that's yes, something.
Yes. For the exact reasons of like how you don't want to predict how good Mason can be. You don't want to have to put him into a position where everything rides on him. You get a Sancho in, and look, we've done this a million times before, but that front three with one on the bench is just frightening. And it goes into what I think it was KG saying it on there, but which is actually the other question, which I asked him is, if Sancho came tomorrow with Mason Greenwood playing as he is, it's almost like he's not a dead cert to start. And that might sound outlandish.
I think he'd have Rashford's place.
Potentially, yeah.
I don't think Rashford is yet playing as well. Well, I think Martial and Greenwood are playing.
They're just playing exceptional.
Top class.
Yeah.
I think Rashford is probably playing very well, but it's just not at their level at the moment.
And I think what Rashford's doing now is there's still a little bit about him where he's playing within himself, you know, where actually I'll look at the space and try and play a pass or play someone in rather than I'll be the main man, I'll run it, which I don't mind that. Sometimes when it's not going for you, my manager...
Tell you what, he played a fantastic pass to Martial last night, and it was a great tackle by Taylor.
Taylor got back and nicked it off him. Martial should have been a bit sharper there, got one touch and dinked it, probably would have scored. And then he played another ball through for Luke Shaw, I think it was. He played some really good passes, and he's been doing that. He got a couple of assists against Sheffield United as well. And I think he's playing the smart way. I think when it's not quite going for you and you can't quite hit the barn door, just feed people who are confident. Just be part of it and feed them, you know. But back to the Greenwood thing and the Sancho thing. We definitely need Sancho. You know, that's like City saying, well, we had De Bruyne, we had Sterling, Aguero, and Sane. Do we need Mahrez? Well, yeah, we do. Did we need Bernardo Silva? Well, yeah, we do. Do you know what I mean? You need that proper top quality and depth, and by getting Mason and Sancho, that would be a top-notch right-hand side. And like I said, Sancho could play on the left as well.
Just going back to the Premier League then, we are currently 2 points off. I think, let me just double check. Let me get this right. It's always hard to remember when you are live. So we are 3 points at the moment. Manchester United are 3 points off being third outright. We're 2 points off Chelsea in third, and we're a point off Leicester. We've got a much better goal difference than Chelsea, and we're closing in on Leicester's. 52 points, Wolverhampton Wanderers, 6 points off United in fifth with 4 games to go. Is it now Chelsea, Leicester and United for the Champions League spots and the 5th place spot, which is potentially there for Man City? Do you see it's a 3-horse race, and where are you going now with those 3rd and 4th spots with 4 games to go, considering United have still got to play Leicester?
I think I can't see, unless Leicester really slip off the boil, though, and drop down to like 5th and let Wolves, pick up. But no, I can't. I think that's too much of a big turn. I think Wolves are just about out of it now. They've still got. They've got a tough game. I think they've got one more tough game. I can't remember who it's against.
We've got Chelsea on the last game of the season.
There you go. So you never know with that. But I think Chelsea got to play Sheffield United next. I think away. And,
yes, tomorrow night.
I tell you what, that's massive. That's massive. If they can get a draw.
Well, Chelsea have got 4 games left. They've got Norwich, which they'll win, but they've got Sheffield United, Liverpool, and Wolves. And
Liverpool, I don't think they'll. And it's at Anfield. I don't think they'll beat Liverpool. I think they might get a draw, but I don't think they'll win. So hopefully they drop points there, and I just think we're going to keep winning up until that Leicester game. So I think I admitted it last week, and I'll say it again after this batch of results. Fair play to Goldbridge. I can see why you were saying we'll catch third. I don't know if you thought it would be as quickly into it as this, but I can see why you thought that, and the proof's almost in the pudding. Nearly.
I genuinely thought we would win all of the 8 games. So when we dropped points against Spurs, I was like, But then Leicester dropped points quicker than I thought they would. So I'm still United 3rd, Chelsea 4th, Leicester 5th. That's what I'm going. What's everyone going with?
It looks like that. Unless Leicester can muster up something and get their asses in gear and stay where they are until at least they play us on the last day of the season. But I doubt that. The
thing is as well, I mean, look, Chelsea might get 3rd and United might get 4th. I'm not bothered. Or my prediction was wrong. Everyone said it was wrong when I predicted it, so I ain't bothered. But the point is that if Chelsea do get 3rd, it's only because they've done something I didn't think they would do, which is I never thought Man City would lose to them, and Man City didn't turn up. And they'll probably beat Liverpool as well, which I wouldn't have expected. So they're going to get 6 points I never thought. So that's why they're going to get 3rd. But look, I'm over the moon if United do get 4th, and I think that we will do it. What's interesting is, look, I mean, it's been a funny old week, and we've got to talk about the weekend fixtures, and it's the North London derby. I've never seen such a banter North London derby. It's 8th against 9th, mid-table matters. I mean, going into that Leicester game, there are Arsenal fans chucking it, saying, "Wow, if we beat them, we're only 6 points behind you with 4 games to go. We could get 5th. We could be in Europe." And it's so sad in a way what they do to themselves. They genuinely think they can do it. But the situation they've got now is that realistically, you've got 6th with 52 points, which is Wolves. And then you've got 10th, which is Burnley, which is 49 points. So 3 points separate 6th to 10th. With Burnley, Spurs, Arsenal, Sheffield United and Wolves. So Arsenal against Spurs becomes, look, if you finish 6th, it's not the season you want, but it's okay. If you finish 8th, 9th, 10th, it's a bad season, isn't it? So that game is it's not the game they want it to be, but basically you're fighting. It's a cup final for 6th, really. if you're lucky, you know.
It might not even be that. I actually think Arsenal will beat them though. I do. I think Spurs are an absolute mess. I watched that Bournemouth game yesterday from start to finish, and Spurs they're horrendous. They stunk the place out, man. That was bad. They literally were really poor. Bournemouth on another day, like you said, VAR kind of rightly, I know it was by a whisker, but it was a handball and an offside. It should have been not given, I suppose, but they'll feel hard done by. Callum Wilson just caused them all sorts of problems. A team we just spanked 5-2. I know it was away from home, but that just shows the levels of where they're at and where we're at. And I look at Arsenal. Arsenal fans are great, though. Arsenal fans are great because what they do is they get the confidence, which, to be fair, you can only beat what's in front of you. We're doing that. But, some of their performances weren't great, but they were like, yeah, like you said, it's all this.
Well, they beat Southampton, which they're a bit lucky with.
Yeah.
They beat Norwich, which everybody did. They beat Wolves, which was impressive.
That was the real one. That was.
And then they've won 3 in a row, and they're like, yeah, we're on it. But to be honest, I'm like, yeah, I still think Arteta's got a lot to learn. I thought Lacazette and Arteta cost them what should have been 3 points. They should have been 3-0 up at half time. And you don't defend with that. No. Chocolate fire guard, isn't it? You don't turn the fire on with a chocolate fire guard. It's going to melt, and that's exactly.
Yeah, they should have. That was the real reason they didn't win the game. I spoke to a couple of Arsenal fans afterwards. They were saying what you said there. It was Lacazette should have scored. He had 2 golden opportunities to score and missed. And then it's about game management, and it was just building from Leicester. They couldn't do it.
I was glad they got a point in the end. It did us a favour because I thought Leicester were going to bloody nick it.
Yeah, exactly. So no, but back to that North London derby. I think Arsenal they'll still be confident after that. Arteta's confident in his lads.
I'm going to win it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll beat them. Spurs are shit.
Yeah, which would be a big turnaround, and it just goes back to what we were talking about at the start. I mean, Mourinho, it'll be expensive. Mourinho is almost like the guy who just goes around getting the sack and getting expensive payoffs now, isn't he? Chelsea paid him off. I think Real Madrid, did they pay him off, or did he leave Real? I think he got paid off by Real Madrid. Definitely got paid off by us, and he's not even been it.
Just chilling on repayment loans, mate. That's all he's doing.
He's only been at Spurs since Christmas, though, and it's obvious. He never stays anywhere long. They're getting worse. I don't see anywhere back.
I love it. I can't wait for this documentary as well, by the way.
Well, it was like that. What the Mason Greenwood guy said, isn't it? Harry Kane's is Jose's best centre back because he ain't playing him as a striker, is he? Not in that side. What do you think of Matt Nuno winning Manager of the Month?
They got 2 back-to-back losses, though, didn't they, this month?
Yeah, I think got it for June.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, because they won all theirs when they came back, didn't they?
Yeah, we drew with Spurs. I think Ollie's going to get it this month, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, June wasn't a proper month. He probably only played 2 games.
Exactly. But Wolves did come back with quite a few wins on the trot, didn't they?
They played well, yeah.
I was worried about them. I know you said you wanted them to keep winning. And I was like, I could do with them. They just looked really confident. They just didn't look like letting up. And then they got the 2 back-to-back. Who was it against? It was against Sheffield United. They lost against, and they lost against Arsenal 2 back-to-back. So, yeah, I think that humbled them a little bit. Sheffield United had a faltering start before they humbled Spurs, which helped us because we kept consistent. So we've managed to get a little bit of gap between those two and make it a 3-horse race. Because at the beginning, just like as it come out of lockdown, it was like a 5-horse race, you know? It genuinely. We were looking at that Sheffield United game, going, "Ooh, that's going to be a tough one." I know you said no, they ain't got the squad, and they lost quite a few games. They lost 2, didn't they, before they got to us? So we did dispatch of them nicely. But the Wolves one, we were like, "Ooh, yeah," and you thought they'd probably keep winning, and then those 2, and then because we won when they lost them 2, 6-point gap.
I've got a lot of time for Wolves, and I think it does. It's nice that he's got manager of the month, because I wanted him to keep winning. And although everyone's like, all their games are all winnable, they're Wolves at the end of the day. And it just shows what we're doing, because people look at Wolves' fixture. I can't see them losing, and you forget it's the Premier League. Arsenal can beat Wolves. And I think I'm glad that he got it in a way, and it also shows what a great job United are doing, because everyone's at the moment, you'd expect him to beat Villa, you'd expect him to beat Bournemouth, but it doesn't always work like that. It only works like that for teams that are up at the top, and that's where we want to be, and we've not been there. So I'm loving what United are doing. And look, I tell you what, Spurs, Arsenal, they would love to be doing what we're doing at the moment, which is turning teams over and playing well, which is what Liverpool have been doing for a couple of years, and Man City. So that's the company you've got to try and keep. So yeah, I'm not getting massively excited. I am excited about United, but I'm not massively excited about it, because I know you've got to go and do that 10, 20 games in a row to just get near to be in the same conversation as a Liverpool and a Man City. But at the moment, I stand by that we are the form team in Europe. The relegation battle is Norwich haven't even come out of lockdown. Have they lost six? They've lost 5 in a row. I think they've lost 6 in a row, actually. Still on 21 points. Villa have drawn 1 and lost 4 of their last 5. They're on 27. Bournemouth have done the same. 1 draw and 4 losses. They're on 28. Watford on 31 and West Ham on 31. I did think that win for West Ham against Chelsea was pretty much going to keep them up. Brighton are out of it now. They've gone up to 36, and I think they deserve to be out of it. They've done really well. But effectively, Bournemouth looked a lot better against Spurs, and they're only 3 points from safety. Aston Villa, 4 points from safety. So do you think the relegation, is the relegation battle still a battle that's interesting, or do you think it will be those 3?
No, it's still definitely a battle, because they're all inconsistent. They're all down there for a reason, and one of them can pick up a win at any moment. But I just feel Bournemouth impressed me against Spurs, because I think they got Callum Wilson back. They did the 4-4-2, put him and Josh King up front, and they went for it, and they can cause people problems with that.
Just very quickly as well, they're playing Leicester at home on Sunday night.
There you go, and that's what I was going to say. The only thing that worries me for Bournemouth, because I want Watford.
I think they'll win it. I've got a funny feeling they're going to win.
They could do. I just thought their running is just so tough, Bournemouth's.
Well, I think it is, and I think that's one of the games I would have expected Leicester to win. I'm expecting Leicester to win that, but I think, you know what, Bournemouth, a bit like Villa look, Villa have got Palace on Sunday lunchtime. They've got to win that. Watford are home to Newcastle, and West Ham are playing against Norwich tomorrow lunchtime. That's the problem I think Bournemouth and Villa have got, because they don't play till Sunday, and West Ham are at Norwich, and Watford are at Newcastle tomorrow lunchtime, so they could be 6 points away from safety before they play that game against Leicester, Bournemouth. So that could be a bit psychologically blowing. But if one of those drop points,
I think Villa will go down. I just don't think they can score. They're obviously conceding too much. I just don't see it. Apart from Jack Grealish, he's the only thing they've got. And as you saw yesterday, he's just trying to do everything, going out too far wide, not being involved in what's going on, getting frustrated. Hasn't had a good return, to be fair, since he's come back, actually. Jack Grealish hasn't been great. And I just think it all rests on his shoulders. And Bournemouth, I just think the fixtures aren't kind enough to them.
Bournemouth have got, last day of the season, they are away to Everton, but they've got Southampton at home. They've got Leicester at home, and then unfortunately they've got Man City away. So the maximum they're going to get is 6 points, which I don't think is going to be enough.
Nah. And Watford's last 2 games are Man City and Arsenal. But in between that, like you said, they've got West Ham and...
They've got Newcastle tomorrow.
Newcastle?
Yeah. Have they got West Ham to play? West Ham Watford is a massive game on Friday, yeah.
That's the one. They've in this little 3-game period of Norwich, West Ham, and what's the other one? Norwich, West Ham, and Newcastle. Newcastle, sorry. Those 3 games is where Leicester were going to save themselves, because you would assume, even Watford fans would probably say, Man City always get hiding off them, and Arsenal on the last day of the season. They don't want to be going into that needing something. So if they could secure at least 2 wins out of Norwich, West Ham, and Newcastle, then I think that should be enough for them if they don't win again and lose the other 2. They got one win against Norwich, which was massive. I think if they can get one more win, I think they'll be safe, and I want to see that happen. West Ham, I think, will scrape through as well. I think they'll scrape through.
I mean, from a United point of view, I think if West Ham were to take 4 points from Norwich and Watford, they'd be more or less safe. But it's interesting from United's point again, because we've got Leicester on the last game, which we're expecting is going to be almost like a cup final for Champions League. But we've got to win the 3 games before we get there, which is Southampton, Crystal Palace and West Ham. Well, Southampton...
That's actually Sorry, just quickly. Those 3 games there, I know like after each game, because we're confident, we're like, oh, this one could be, got to watch out for Villa, or we could watch out for Sheffield, or got to watch out for Brighton. We say it at the beginning of every game. But I truly do believe now, I'm not just saying it, this little trio of games is actually quite...
Well, they're all cup finals anyway, aren't they? Because you can't slip.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I think the West Ham one is probably... Southampton Palace are unknown because they're so safe and they can't get Europe.
Look at Southampton. Look at Crystal Palace. They gave Chelsea a run for the money. Unlucky not to get something out of that.
They've lost like 4 in a row, Crystal Palace as well. So they need a result before we play them.
Southampton, Danny Ings going from strength. They just got a draw there yesterday against Everton away. They beat Man City. They're 12th. They're confident. Like, they've got nothing to play for, but they haven't down tools. They're not just on the beach. Danny Ings badly wants the golden boot. He's on the same as Mo Salah. That'll be a different proposition for Maguire and Lindelof. Danny Ings is sharp. So that's an interesting game for us. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think West Ham will still be fighting for their lives, so that's a big game. They beat Chelsea. So look, all I'm saying from a United point of view is I expect us to get top 4, but there are, we saw it for the first 20 minutes yesterday. Villa were in that game, but they didn't have a cutting edge. Some of these teams do have a cutting edge that we're about to play.
I think they'll probably score.
You what?
I think if we let Southampton have a comfortable half an hour, they'll score.
Yeah, but the thing with United is we're scoring so many ourselves, aren't we?
Same with West Ham.
Chuck us a few questions then.
Sorry, Sean O'Sullivan. United have more chance of winning Europa than the FA Cup. The thing is with that is that in theory you could say yes because we've got 2 hard teams to play to win the FA Cup. But in reality, we're so confident, and we've got rubbish teams in the Europa League apart from Inter Milan. We're kind of like saying just bring it on.
Yeah, I think that the FA Cup is harder to win than the Europa League. I do actually agree with that. I think that because we've got Chelsea and Man City in the final, we already know it's Man City, don't we? Whereas I didn't get to say that in the Europa League. I think Manchester United would beat Juventus at the moment. And people are going, oh, what you want? Well, they would.
Do you think that we're that good right now? Like if we played against, the Real Madrid?
No, I just don't think Juventus are that good. I don't think the Italian league is that good. I watch a lot of it. It's slower and it's not. I think the Premier League. I think most Premier League clubs would beat most Italian clubs. I think Chelsea could beat Juventus. I don't know whether Leicester would, but I think Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City definitely would. I think we can, and I think Chelsea can. And I think the best way of saying it is I think if you drop Juventus into the Premier League, they'd finish 5th.
Woo.
The thing is, people play it on FIFA. They go, "Oh, I've got Ronaldo, I've got this, I've got that." But the pace of the league is different, and that's what kills a lot of Italian clubs when they play Premier League clubs.
Dybala,
they're good, but they wouldn't be able to. Their pace of the game is not. I mean, what's happening to Juventus in the Champions League? I think they lose their first leg against Lyon or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or are they drawing? I think they could be drawing.
Yeah. So, interesting stat here. Bruno Fernandes, Greenwood, Pogba and Martial are among the top 10 most informed players in the Premier League at the moment. So that's that. Bruno Fernandes has had 13 goal contributions in the Premier League. Only 3 have been penalties. And Pogba and Martial included in the Premier League Team of the Week. Interesting. Well, you what?
It's not lies. It's all facts. I mean, they're all playing that well.
It is, you got to embrace it. What United are doing at the moment, it's going very, very well indeed. But look, we couldn't do the Premier League show from the studio today because we had to do the Europa League draw. So we've brought it to you again. I do like these shows. I prefer it in the studio. I'm sure everybody does, but I do like these shows. And it's nice to be able to talk about lots of different things. And look, Arsenal fans will say you're obsessed, but it's a Premier League show. And I think you will win the North London derby. I think you will finish above Spurs. I think Mourinho could be finishing as low as sort of 8th, 9th. I don't see Spurs have got to play Leicester as well. I think Spurs have got some difficult games. I think they've got to play Wolves as well.
They could probably, yeah, I think so. They could probably nick some points off Leicester for us, get a draw, maybe.
Spurs have got Arsenal, Newcastle, Leicester, and last game of the season, Crystal Palace. So there's no easy game. Then again, I don't think there's an easy game for Spurs at the moment because I don't think they're capable of beating anybody.
I don't think they've won. Or I think they've won 2 out of the last 8 or something like that. They haven't won in a long time.
Trent Singh says, thoughts on Arsenal City fans on Twitter calling Bruno a diver and as Manchester United, the hate is unreal, we're truly bad. Look, we have had a lot of penalties and they've all been reviewed by VAR and they've all been given. The whole point is, should we have VAR? So, you know.
It's such a manager. That is such a manager reaction. Yeah, well, you know, VAR's give it, so we have to take it, you know.
But look, the thing with United is Pogba should have had a penalty. Martial should have had a penalty at Bournemouth. There's penalties we've not been given. And you know why we get a lot of penalties? Because we do a lot of things in the box.
Exactly.
Spurs don't get penalties because they're in their own bloody box. So you can't get a penalty in your own penalty box. Simple, isn't it?
And it just means the hate is back. That means you know you're on the up. So I'm here for it all. I love it.
Thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And there is an 8 o'clock show tonight. There's loads of content today. We'll have a bit of a rest over the weekend on the content. But I think Ollie's press is tomorrow. Simon Peach messaged him and he said he thinks it's tomorrow because he is a Southampton fan who follows United. So he said he thinks it's tomorrow, but we've not had that confirmed yet. So could be an Ollie presser in the morning, which means we'd have to put the chart show back till Sunday morning. But I'll be back at 8. And thanks for Flex for the chart show. Not the chart show, the Premier League show.
No, it's a chart show. Yeah.
You should do the chart show because you're a DJ. I could do the chart show and you could be on the other chart. I could be going in at number 1 and you could be there going... doing a bit of rap music.
Bring the Flex Fridays back to the chart shows. I'm on that.
Yeah, they were good on Insta. Bit of Vanilla Ice.
Ice, baby. Yeah, that's smart, mate.
Good rapper he is. Probably the best rapper in history.
Who is your favorite rapper? Do you have one?
Will Smith. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is brilliant.
Wild Wild West. I tell you what, Men in Black.
Like Wild Wild West. Okay. In West California. I don't know. I think it was West Philadelphia. Born and raised on the playground is where I spent most of my days.
Oh, Mark Goldbridge, man. What are we gonna do with this guy? I just don't get it. I don't know.
Somebody will clip that now. They'll expect me to come out with something like, you know, H or Stormzy or something like that, but they're not really. Are they rappers or are they? They don't want to be called rappers, do they?
MCs, yeah, rappers, MCs. You probably call them singers.
Yeah, singers, pop stars. Stormzy's my favourite pop star.
Write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. Yeah, that'll be you.
Right, thanks everyone for watching. Good show, and we'll speak to you all later. Thanks for watching.